Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Angela. So I thought I would go ahead and do, and I've seen it a couple people, well, one person do it. The Marlena Teresa's tarot to the extreme, but oracle to the extreme. So I'm using the same question she did on her tarots, but it's all oracle decks. So without further ado, here we go. So it's the same 7 questions. So for question 1, it's minimalist versus maximist. And my minimalist deck, made a pouch for it, would be the Mildred Payne Secret Pocket Oracle. It literally has a picture and a word, and that's it. It is deep. Very deep. It's just very minimalist. I use this a lot for mediumship readings. It's fantastic for that. But I rarely go. This is the bigger version, but I have the mini also. The itty bitty version. I never go anywhere without this deck. I love it. Love it. And it made me fall in love with Patrick Valencia's work. But that is the minimalist deck versus the maximalist deck, which is my Wisdom of the Sacred Bee. These two cannot be more opposite. One is dark and twisty, and one is light and fluffy, and it's beautiful purple gilding, purple bee. Yeah, it's gorgeous. Gorgeous coloring. There's just so much going on in these cards, and it's probably one of the most stuff going on in an oracle deck that I have. It's just stunning. Stunning, stunning, stunning. Stunning deck. And it makes you think. Let me see what that was. Beautiful. And the art is gorgeous. 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 So that is my minimalist versus maximist deck. The minimalist and maximist. One has very little in it and one has a lot going on. So for question 2, we have daytime versus nighttime. And again, I don't have decks that I use, one for the daytime and one for the night. If I'm using a deck, I'm going to use it all day. But the only one I thought of when I thought of daytime deck was my Oracle of the Radiant Sun. Of course, it's daytime. It's got the word sun in it. Has to be that deck. And I've hemmed and hawed about getting this deck forever. And then I finally took the plunge a few months ago. I think I just twisted them all backwards. Small, more like poker-sized deck. It's got astrology stuff going on in it. But I love it. I think it's cute. Very cute. And there's an antique-y vibe to this deck that I really like. And it's just very bright and sunny to me. Wow. It's all twisted up. Yeah, it's a beautiful deck. Beautiful Oracle deck. So that is my daytime. And then we have my nighttime, which is the De La Nuit Oracle. And if you watched my tarot, the Tarot De La Nuit is the night deck, because it literally means Tarot of the Night or Oracle of the Night. This is cool because it's got, and it's all in dark. Same backs as the tarot deck that I have for this. It has fairy tales, but they are dark and twisted. Dark and twisted. Princess and the Pea. Not your typical what you would have thought of in these specific stories. When you read the book, you're like, what? Like, it's a different twist. And it's a dark twist on this deck. Or on these, yeah, The Little Mermaid. I read that one and I was like, no. Because her prince dies and she has to figure out how to go on as I think she does wind up being human, and then she has to figure out how to continue as a human being without her love. It's just very dark and twisty and weird and different, and I love it for that. Very dark and twisty, but I love it. So that is my Daylight New Way Oracle. That is the Oracle for nighttime. So I have daytime and nighttime here. Okay, moving on. That was only number 2. Number 3, best shuffle and worst shuffle. My best shuffle, believe it or not, is a mini deck. This is the, oh my gosh, why can't I ever get this open? I sit and shuffle this at lunchtime at work all day long. And I'm not making it look right here. But this is the mini Roots and Wings. I love it. I can bridge shuffle it. It's a mini, but it's just the right size that I can shuffle it. Fantastic. Wonderful deck. Wonderful. And it's also, it could have been in my Minimalist because it's very simple. Very simple. But it's also packs a punch. This deck goes with so many tarot decks that I have. It's not even funny. And I'm so glad I got this deck. So that's the best shuffle. The worst shuffle is the Carolyn Miss Archetypes cards. Just because there's so many and they're huge. It's published by Hay House. Look at that. There's just so many of these. And this is specifically for I have 6 here that are blanks. Oh yeah, blank cards here. Blanks. Yeah, I can't even get my hand all the way around this deck. Like, I can barely shuffle it like that, and I still cannot bridge it. Yeah. So this would be the worst shuffle. Not a deal breaker, because I got this deck specifically for past life readings, and it works fantastic for that. So, yeah, I have no complaints about this deck for that reason. I don't know why they're all messed up and switched around. Maybe I just did that. But yeah, it's a pretty cool deck. I haven't used this in a while. Haven't done any past life readings in a while either, but yeah, pretty neat deck. Even though it's, hard to shuffle. It's not hard, it's just not the way I like to shuffle a deck. So that's the Carolyn Miss Archetypes cards by Hay House. The Roots and Wings is, of course, a indie deck. So for 4, confronting versus comforting. And my first real confronting deck was the Magic of You Oracle by Fiona Horn. This deck is crazy. I paid $14 for this deck because I thought the artwork was cool. And if you know me, you know I like strange and different. And this is totally strange, different. But it calls you out on all your bull crap too. This deck. There's not as many cards as you would think in a Oracle deck. But, and this is published by Rockpool Publishing. It's crazy. This is the first card I saw in here, and I'm like, what? There's a solution for every problem. And I'm like, no. That made me buy it, but then there's so many more. Like this one, Maximus. How can you feed others when your own table is empty? And I'm like, what? What? This doable. They're breaking through. They've got cuts on their arms, but they're breaking through it. It hits you in a dark, twisted, awesome way. This one, when I first got this deck, I pulled this card in the first week probably 8 times. And it was at a time I'm like, I don't believe in all this epiphany, reveal your gifts kind of crap. Do I believe that I have gifts at all even? And that just kept popping up for me. I even shuffled it and read with it for somebody else, and the card they had different cards pop up, and then all of a sudden I read for myself again, and the same card just kept coming. I'm like, okay. So for the comforting, we have the Woodland Wardens by Jessica Rue. This is a Andrews McMeel Publishing. This is a newer deck. It's awesome though. It's so sweet and gentle, and I love it to pieces. Here's the bags. It actually kind of goes with that little, except one's dark and twisty, and the other one's not. But yeah, this is a sweet, very sweet, loving, comforting deck. I have no qualms about it. Even with the huge white borders, I don't see them in this deck. It's amazing. It's beautiful. I use it with my Soul Cats Tarot. Both are so sweet, so gentle, so loving, and it just makes me feel like home, and I love it. So yeah, that is my comforting deck. Number 5, everyday deck versus ever so often. So we have, where's my everyday deck? Let me put this back up. My everyday deck is my Oracle of Echoes. This is the second edition. I do have the first edition also. What is happening? Yeah. That's the backs of the second edition. I love her artwork. This is by Anatorian. Love her artwork. I love this deck. I love the cardstock. It shuffles well. I don't know why they're all twisted. Yeah, there's nothing else I can say about it. This is the deck I go to. Between this and the Roots and Wings, it's my go-to decks. I use them all the time. All the time. Here last probably a couple years. Well, Roots and Wings I just got this year, beginning of this year. But yeah, these are my go-to decks that I use all the time, and I can't not use them. That's the first card I ever pulled on this deck, and I'm like, really? It's been telling me that for 2 years. I've been getting that same message from all my tarot decks and everything for 2 years, saying, let go. It's hard. It's hard to let go as a Virgo. It's the Oracle of Echoes, and then the every so often is my Mystical Shaman Oracle deck, and that's just because it's so intense. I use this deck for ancestor work. This is the only deck I've ever edged, Oracle deck I've ever edged. And it's like this Rusty Hinge is the name of it. This deck is gorgeous. I don't use it that often because it's just so deep, and it's not dark. It's just so deep. It's almost like you're taking a big bite of meat, and it takes a while to swallow it. And then you're ready to use it again. That's how I feel about this deck. It's so stunningly beautiful too. I mean, it's stunning. Look at that. And it's just one of them decks that I rarely use because I rarely do ancestor work. And it is the only time it comes out is when I use it for ancestor work. That's my favorite card on top right there. Beautiful, but that is my every so often deck, Oracle deck, because like I said, it takes a while to digest, and I love it for that. Okay, so we're on number 6. Yep, overrated versus underrated. I think the overrated is my Santa Muerta Tarot or Oracle. There is a tarot. This is the deck that goes with the tarot. And when I was I did a thing yesterday. I totally forgot that I had this deck, and this tarot also. But this is by Lo Scarabero. These are the backs. They're all different. They form a Ouija board. I don't like this deck. I mean, I use it with the Santa Muerta, which I love. Tarot. I don't get along as well with this deck. And I think I haven't heard many people talk about it lately, but when I first got it, I was like, it's a little overrated. Like, it's not all that. Even though I think the tarot is all that. It is cool looking. It is different. It's just, I don't mesh well with it all the time. That's cool. So that is my overrated deck. And then my underrated, which I've heard people talk crap about this deck. It's my favorite, in my top 5 favorite Oracle decks ever. Second Rebels Oracle. It is by Alana Fairchild. It is published by Blue Angel. This is the bordered version. Apparently there's a borderless version now that's a matte. I'm like, I gotta get it. I just can't find it. And I think it's on Blue Angel, but it's like $40. And I'm like, I paid like $19 for this. Why would I pay $40 for the same deck? Borderless. I got this deck at a time where I was trying to figure out if writing was my calling. I knew deep down in my heart that writing was my calling. But everything around me was saying, yeah, maybe you shouldn't be. Maybe it's too late to be a writer. You're too old to go to school and do all this stuff and follow your dreams. And then I saw Bahati Life, her channel. She was doing a pick a card. And I thought I picked this card. I actually picked a different card. All I saw was the top, and they were similar on the top of this deck. And when she showed the pile that she'd picked and pulled this card, I started bawling because as soon as I saw the word wants to be written, I'm like, how did she know? How did she know I needed to hear this? And I wrote 2 books after that. So, and they are published on Amazon. So, yeah. One is Memoirs of a Birth Mother. It's about me giving my child up for adoption when I was 19. And the other is Slim Pickens. It's a fictional story. But, yeah, I'm like, so, yeah, you can follow your dreams. You can do these things. The word needs to be written. You need to be writing. And I instantly was in love with this deck. I'm like, I wound up tracking it down at that point and finding it and buying it. And I have had so many moments with this deck. It will never, ever, ever go anywhere because it is, like I said, my top 5 favorite decks ever. And I don't see it getting a whole lot of love, and I don't understand that because it's an amazing deck. So that's my underrated. So we had, where did I put it? Oh, it's my overrated and my underrated. Last one, 7, light work versus shadow work. And the only thing I could think of for light work was my Seed and Sickle because it's so sweet by Fezzik Wright. It's published by Liminal 11. This deck is so freaking beautiful. It has 2 books that technically you could do light work and shadow work with these books. But I find I only use this one, the Dusk Guidebook. Oh, and this deck is so stunning. I love everything about it. And I have the daisies on top. Of course it's on top. But this is the light work deck. It's so sweet. It's so light. It's so beautiful. The messages are gorgeous. It's just, there could be nothing else for this particular tag, or in this particular category, because it's just so lighthearted and so loving, and it's wonderful, and it's gorgeous. And I also have the special edition, which is gilded in a copper. It's the same books and everything, but it's just gilded in copper. And I have not used that. I probably won't, but yeah, that is a gorgeous, gorgeous deck. That is the Seed and Sickle Oracle. And the last deck we have is this Shadow Work deck. And this is another deck that called me out when I first got it. I'm like, I bought it because I'm like, oh, it's interesting. And when I got it, I'm like, I don't know about you. That is the Mausolea Oracle of Souls. It's a Los Scarabero deck, illustrated by Jason Engel. And then, of course, it called me out. And I'm like, And it, again, like the Santa Muerte Oracle, doesn't have a lot of cards. But it packs a punch. So, it packs a punch. Well, not like the Magic Few Oracle. It packs a punch. Let me see the card. I'm always pulling the same exact card from this deck. And I'm like, why? Why? It's a beautiful deck. Oh, yeah. Beautiful deck. Let me see if I can find it real quick. The card I'm always... Here's the Morrigan. So, Anubis. Oh, they're just stunning. Look at Morgan Le Fay. Beautiful. Lilith. The Poet of Avon. Is that the one? Maybe it is. Yeah, that's the one that I'm always pulling because it talks about he's the poet of Avalon, the writer, and it just keeps coming up for me. It's weird. The storyteller, and it says fame, stagnation, and pride, and I have all of those issues. It's crazy. So yeah, it's crazy. And then we have Abraham, beautiful. These cards are gorgeous, and I haven't used them in a while, but I'm looking at it like, man, I need to get this out. It's awesome. Oh, I love Charon, the ferryman. Come on. So anyway, that is my shadow work deck and my light work deck. And that is all of the prompts. So I guess I'll let you guys go. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, please don't hesitate to comment below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification button so you're alerted to any future videos. And you guys have a good night. Bye.